What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Bingo Toys Hertz, or their version of a Masterpiece Scale Strafe. I am getting this set for myself, or at least I'm getting the first few anyways, just to check them out. And this guy is pretty cool. He is a triple changer. It does turn into the arm for their combiner Galileo, their version of Computron. But let's get in close on the details. This guy has a lot of nice paint detail. It's fully painted. You've got this pearlescent white throughout, metallic red, gold, silver accents, and tampo details everywhere. Lots of little details. Metallic blue for the eyes looks really good. There's metallic blue up here too, which makes me think that they originally went with a translucent or light piped eyes, and then later changed their mind, which I'm happy if that is the case because it looks a lot better. There are little spots for Autobot symbols right there, perfectly shaped. Here's the side. You got more gold, silver, and red accents. And the back, it cleans up pretty nicely and it looks pretty accurate to the character. This is a stylized version of Strafe, but it definitely hits the character pretty well. I'll put the cartoon image there so you can take a look. They definitely get the cues and the overall look of this guy with some added details, paint, and, highlights. Let's go over the articulation on this guy. The head is on a ball joint, gets up to there, down to there, side to side, and rotates around. The neck also has a hinge, so you can get the neck way down and way up. So you can look up quite a bit and get down. The chin gets caught up, so you can't get the neck and the head ball joint all the way down. That's about as far as I can get it. But it's nice that they have the neck movement in addition to the head. Shoulders rotate around on a friction hinge. If you lift up this booster, you can get the shoulders up to the side, up to there. Butterfly joint built in. Gets you out to there. And I thought maybe this was because of the transformation. You don't need that necessarily for the transformation. So it really was built just for, to get you some articulation. So because they have that built in, you can get the arm across the front of the body, which is very, very well done. And you get a reverse butterfly as well. You have a rotation here at the bicep. It doesn't collide with these, but it's really close. So just keep an eye on that, on these two little pieces here. You can lift these up, these little shoulder skirts, I guess I would call them. You get a double jointed elbow, full bend, a nice die cast joint. It's got a hinge or a piston built in. That's crazy. It's got 1, 2, 3 moving pieces, right? Because of the double joint. And then this thing just looks cool. It's very creative. I like how they did that. For the hands, you have rotation at the wrist, in and out movement. I think actually it's on a ball joint. So you get all the way around and a rotation on the wrist. Fingers are individually articulated. They're pretty well done. Each finger has 2 pins. The middle 2 are kind of shaped a little differently, but they all work. So you can't articulate individually. And then thumbs on a ball joint and a hinge. You can't straighten it out and pose it. So pretty well done hands in my opinion. Coming down to the waist, we've got a waist rotation on a ratchet. Later you'll see that this does end up being the combined mode joint as well. This backpack, it does sit flat on the back, but when you rotate the waist, you need to lift it up a little bit to clear everything. So no big deal. Coming down to the waist, you have an ab crunch, but it's built into here. At first I thought it didn't have one, and then I was amazed that they built it in. So it's built in right here. And if I lift this up, you can see it's basically the pelvis angles up like that. So that's a creative way to get a hip, ab crunch, because this ab crunch, which we're going to end up using for combined mode, is locked due to the combined mode parts being attached. So I just thought that was really creative, really cool the way they made that work. Going to the hips, you have hips right on front. They're on a ball joint. Rear is on a ball joint, and then the side is on a hinge. Get those out of the way. Legs will kick up to there. Drop down hinge. So it gets you a little bit higher because of that. There's some die cast in here. So I think this rear piece is die cast. The joint is definitely die cast, but leg gets you way back to there. I don't think you can get it back further than that, just because of the way it works. Out to the side on a ratchet. It is a tight ratchet, and the first detent, so that's straight. First detent is right there. I think it's okay, especially if you rotate the thighs. I think it's just fine. But some people might feel that's a little bit wide. I think it's okay. For the knees, you have a double jointed knee, die cast joint, gets you the full bend. This starts to get in the way, but I mean, that's freaking awesome. Giving you the knee. Nice paint detail here, silver, gunmetal. Coming down to the feet, you have ankle tilts all the way out to there. Forward and backward on this joint here. And a rotation at the foot. Quite a bit of movement. You can kind of change the angle of this. So like if you want, let's say you wanted the foot upwards a little bit, you could basically open these up and get the foot up a little bit higher. So these are posable as part of the foot, depending on the angle that you want and how you want to be posed. We do get some very nice accessories with this guy. Out of box, these wings were separated. There's actually no need to separate them for transformation or for any other reason. I suppose you could move these, to a different spot or something, but these, I don't really consider them accessory. I just want to show you. You could take those off if you want to. All right, but we're going to take a look at the blasters done in this sort of shiny orange. I think it's the paint infused plastic, but then it's got silver, a little tampo detail there. We're going to fold down this handle, and that will fit into his hands very nicely. There's a tab in the hand, so this will fit over that tab. I think the Bingo Toys Jazzy worked the same way, but and there you go. You get that look. Very good looking gun, in my opinion. And of course you get two of those. And you can take these if you want to. You can mount these right here onto the hips. So you could have something like this. We also get these swords, also done in a metallic, kind of copperish orange, pearlescent white on the handle, and then that same shiny orange on the bottom. And this has a similar slot. It'll fit onto the tab. In the hand. And that's pretty good looking too. Another cool look for Strafe. You can also take these, and just like the guns, you can attach these here. I think this, makes more sense obviously with the swords to be on his hip skirts. But you can have that look. And put this on this side just to give you the full effect. You can have that. It's pretty cool. Or let's say you wanted him to have all of his weapons at the same time. You can get his gun in there, detach these, and there's a couple things you can do. One, you You take this, there's a little slot right there, and this will mount right here. It's a little tricky because you got to bend the elbow because of this elbow pad gets in the way, but you can get these stored back here. And then have that look. Or you can take these, unpeg them, and we're going to tab them into each other. So you get this smaller peg into the other peg. And then this peg's going to go into his butt right here. By the way, this could be used for a display stand if you want, you know, a flight stand or whatever. And you want to lift this up. Get this tabbed in right here. And now you've got storage for the swords on the back. I think that's pretty cool. All right, for size comparison, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime. And I'm going to bring in a tape measure just because I know this is a point of interest to most people. This comes out to about 9 3/4 inches to the top of the head, and about 8 3/4 inches, maybe, yeah, almost 3/4 inches to the top of the chest. And the typical Optimus, and this is the same size as like MP44 and all the others, about 9.5 inches to the top of the head. So you're getting another 1/4 inch on this guy. And it does kind of put him out of scale, right? I don't imagine this guy to be bigger than a Masterpiece Optimus. Now, maybe it's not meant to go with this guy. It's a stylized version. But I know most people are going to put it with this, so that might turn some people off in terms of the size. All right, and here's another comparison with the Fans Toys Scavenger and their version of Slingshot. I brought these in just because they're both arms on a combiner. And again, this guy towers over both of them. So even with the Fans Toys figures, you know, it does look like it's a little bit on the big side in terms of robot mode. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into his vehicle mode. And it is a relatively straightforward and simple transformation, but the instructions have some errors in it. So I'm going to show you slightly different order just so it makes it easier and actually comes together properly. You do need the guns for the jet mode. So go ahead and pull this out. You're going to fold this back and then fold this down. And you can set that aside. And same on this. Fold that back, fold that down. And then for the hands, just have them folded up into a cube, like for most MP transformations. We're going to take the hands, rotate it so the fingers are facing forward. Then you're going to take the elbow, straighten up the elbow, rotate it so you have elbow facing outwards. Lift out on this panel right here. This will rotate right here. Make sure it's clearing as you rotate so you can avoid paint scraping. Bring this back down. That'll collapse and sit right here. Now, you want this extended down on a double hinge, not up here. So make sure you have that. And the hand will sit right inside of there. In the instructions, they actually tell you to plug this in here when we're done with all this. We're not going to do that because we need some space to work on the legs. So that's the only step I'm going to do differently. But go ahead and pull up here and separate this shoulder pad. Same on the back, separate the shoulder pad. That'll allow you to rotate these down like this. It'll re-tab back in to the shoulder right here. Same on this, rotate this and tab it back in. These can just sit on the outside. And that's one arm basically done. I'm just going to show you now. There's a tab here on the hip skirt and a slot here on the inside of the arm. That's where it's going to tab in. There's also a slot here on the under the arm and a tab here. So those two are going to hold this arm onto the side. We're not going to put that in yet because that's going to get in our way while we're transforming the rest. So go ahead and do the other arm, same exact way. All right, now we've got both arms taken care of. We can take care of the upper body. And just to give yourself some room, I recommend just pull the arms away. Just going to give you some space up here. We'll come to the back, lift up this, open up this cockpit piece, come back to the front, and we will lift up this piece and this piece. That'll allow us to take all of this and accordion that down on this double hinge. We're going to rotate this around and bring this back down. You can see there's two tabs right here, and later I'll talk about this, but these actually do end up getting tabbed into, and you get a little paint scrapage from it. So just be careful with that. It doesn't end up, it's showing here the bottom in robot mode, but it is a little bit visible, so you want to be careful with that. I haven't found a way to avoid this completely, but bring this down. Open this up, bring this down. This will tab in on the inside of this, and then bring this down, and these will sit down to the side of that. All right. For the head, we're going to lift this, push the head back a little bit. We're going to lift this cockpit piece forward. The head will just fit right in there. If you have it angled back, it'll fit right inside here. Bring this down. There's two little clips, really tabs, that this will plug into. And there's a tab underneath, so that'll all hold it. And then right here is a tab on the back of this that will plug in there. So that's how the cockpit's looking. And again, I recommend leaving the arms out while we take care of the legs now. So leave the leg open one click just to give yourself some room. Come to the back. We'll first open this up. So this is tabbed in right here. So pull that out from that tab. Rotate this to the outside. Then we will lift up on this section here. So this is tabbed in right here, as well as right here. So unpeg this from the side, as well as unpegging it from the bottom. This is also tabbed in right here. So if you untab both, you should be able to release this section right here. This is a separate piece. I'm going to rotate this around. We're also going to rotate this around and bring that back in. This section here, we'll open that up. This will unpeg from the top here and untab this one as well. There we go. So you can see there's two pegs here on the knee. Straighten up the knee. This will come forward and sit right here. This will come across the top and just get this down here for now. This panel with the foot on it. We'll take care of that in a minute. And I have this wrong. This is going to be hinged back like that. All right, what we're going to do now that we have this corrected, the hand is going to end up inside this slot. We're going to rotate this around. And this little wing piece is going to fit on top of this. And then all of that is going to tab in the two spots I showed you earlier on the arm. And then this red tab here is going to go into the side of the thigh. So you got to kind of hit all of that at the same time. So get this tucked in here. Get this lined up with the wing tip. And then once you have that all lined up, tab in those three spots I showed you. There we go. And let's get the thigh in. Okay. So we got those in. Then we can come to the bottom, and this here, as well as the foot, is going to slide with these two pieces, kind of like a rail, into the back. That all holds it together. So push those down and into there. Then push this one into here. Then we're going to rotate the foot so that the toe is facing upwards. This will probably move on you, but this is going to end up like this. It was just folded down like this before. All right. Come to the top. Open up this wing. Open up this wing. Open up this retaining clip. Slide out the wing. And I purposely left this little bit of gray, I think it's mold release, to, when they put this together. And you can see it just wipes right off. It's not a big deal. But I just wanted to show you. I had it on the other wing and I wiped it off. So I wanted you to be able to see how it comes. But now it's, perfectly fine. Close this up. This will tab into the back of that wing and kind of hold this extension out. Then come to the top. This is going to tab into here. There's a peg right here. And there's a slot under here. And there's also these two pegs back here. So bring this down. I like to do the back ones first. So this is coming down and pegging it right here. And the first time you do it, it's going to be very firm. Now it goes in a little bit easier. So I got those back two on, and then get the front one on. That's also pretty firm. And that's how one side looks with that leg in place. All right, go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And then we'll get them pegged together. Just to show you, this circular peg here on the inside is going to go into the leg right here. And then there's a square rectangular peg that's going into here. So that's how the legs are going to attach. All right, now we've got the back section and wings taken care of. We can take care of these feet. So you can lift these up. You're going to fold these in. And that exposes those boosters. You can actually fold this down so that it sits inside of here. And then you can fold these wings back down. Those can kind of sit however you like. Something like that. Then we can come to the front and we're going to fold out this landing gear. The rear landing gear are a little bit on the loose side. I'll probably put some floor polish on there. They do work though. We're going to take this front landing gear, flip this up and out, fold that down flat. Then we're going to come to the front and take care of the guns. So I saved this for now because this will get in your way if you have it fold down earlier. So that's where I mentioned I do things a little bit differently. Now bring this down. That tab is going to go into the bottom one. Same thing for the bottom. This one's tabbing in there. Same here. Open these two up. Flip this back. You can see how this piece ends up on the outside of this piece. Just makes things a little easier. And then we're going to take these guns. This will plug in right here. And we'll take this gun. And that'll plug in right there. All right, there's Hertz in jet mode. And it looks pretty darn awesome. I love the way this came together. Got the nice skids at the bottom. Lots of nice tampo details. Accents. These really look good here in this mode. Here's the back. The feet end up, looking like the boosters. So that works well. Nice wings back here. Yeah, overall very convincing looking, futuristic jet. You can open up the cockpit here, kind of hidden feature. And I recommend maybe a spudger to help you get this open, but get a little bit of a opening cockpit. I don't think this one opens. I think that one is fixed, but that's pretty cool. We can also take the swords and you get weapon storage. So you can take these, come to the bottom, you could do this. It's a little awkward because it's on an angle. You can plug them in like that. Just make sure the handle is this way. And it kind of looks a little funky, but I prefer to have it here. So there's a peg on the wing and a tab slot here on the sword. So you can plug that in right there. And now you have under wing storage for the swords. I think that looks a lot better. And there you go. There's all the weapons stored. And you know me, I love weapon storage. Only thing I'm not loving is this skid could stay a little better, but it does work pretty well. For size comparison, there it is next to the MP10 Optimus Prime in MP44 colors, and pretty big jet here. All right, and here's another comparison which probably makes more sense with the MP52 Starscream, and he is definitely wider wingspan wise, about the same height. And lengthwise, definitely shorter. The Starscream has about this front of the nose cone longer than this guy. So about the size of an MP Seeker. All right, now let's get Hertz transformed into combined mode, which is a slightly more challenging than the jet mode, but still pretty straightforward. Go ahead and pull his guns off and set those aside. We'll come to the bottom. Fold the landing gear in, fold these landing gear flat. Then we'll take care of the wing. I'm going to do one side, I'll do the other one off camera. Open up this tab, accordion the wing in, and then tab that back in. Fold down these tips on the top and bottom. Come to the bottom, we're going to undo this bottom panel section. So unpeg it from here, slide the foot up and out. Fold it back, and that's going to release this section, so we can open up this and this. So bring the arm out. You can use the double hinge if you want to get it out to the side, but you do want to have that out. And then we're going to put this back in. So fold that back up and then re-tab this in. So slide the foot section back into there, tab this back into here. We're going to rotate this up, and you'll see a little tab right here and a slot there. So it's actually pegging in to the top part, and that's what secures it for arm mode. For these, you're just going to push these back further. They sit up and in here. And that's basically one side done. Go ahead and do the same thing on this side. All right, so here's how we're looking after reconfiguring both legs. This side should be flat, and this side should have the wings folded up and tabbed in. Now we're going to take care of this top section. So come to here, we're going to open up this. You have to unpeg it from here. It can be a little tricky, so I recommend having a spudger handy for this part. Basically untab this from here. And like I mentioned, there is some paint scraping here, so just be careful. But fold this down, and we have to do some work down here. So we're going to unpeg this and lift it up on the double hinge. And give yourself some room, because we need to open up this panel right here. So come to here, and again, I recommend if you have a spudger handy, use it. But pop this panel on the back. And this is on a hinge here, so just be careful. It could be tight. If it's too tight, just loosen up the screws right here. But you want to open up this panel. And we want to open up this panel on the front, tabbed in right there. There's two tabs. And once you've released that, you can accordion this up. And it's actually hinging right here. So I'm just going to show you that motion. So you can see it's hinging. It's double hinge. And then straighten this back up. And before you close everything, we need to get this combiner joint out of there. And I found the best way is to open this up and get into here, and you can see the combiner joint right there. And I'm using a different spudger because this combiner joint is really strong. It's hard for me to push it. So I'm using a slightly stronger plastic of a combiner of a spudger to get this combiner joint out. Otherwise, I just found it was too difficult to get it out of there. So lift that up as much as you can, and then the rest you can move with your finger. Hopefully, flip that all the way around. And then this will accordion up and tab into here. So before it was tabbed in down here, now it's tabbing in up here. So tab that in. And on the back, it should be coming down and tabbing in on the back. So you've basically lifted up the entire chest from down here up to here and folded out this combiner joint. Just have it out straight like this. All right, now we're in the home stretch. We can put this back down. Just make sure it folds in properly. Like that. And then we can put this back in. So fold the head back, tilt the head back. And this will come back down and tab into the chest. This is where I'm having a little bit of paint scraping and, you know, things kind of scraping away, unfortunately. Fold that down. This will sit in between the two chest pieces. Before you head this up, this is going to go down now. And then this is going to tab back into here. So bring this back and tab that in. So basically you redid the front of the cockpit, except it's all moved forward to here. And then for the arms, we're going to reconfigure these as well. So we're going to open up this tab here on the outside, fold this open, fold that open, same on the bottom. And I knocked this off. This is just on a little clip system, so if it knocks off, just fix it. This will rotate. I believe we're going to have it like that. And then we're going to tab it back in to the bottom like that. So you can see the difference. We basically hinged it, accordioned it up, and tabbed it back in. All right, I'm going to do it over here just because that wasn't very clear. Unclip this on both sides, hinge this up, tab it back in on both sides. So it looks like that. Fold this out. We want to rotate this around. Make sure it clears all this stuff. And then this will come down and cover up the hand. And like I did that before, that was actually a mistake when I did it in the vehicle mode transformation. Same thing on this. Hinge it down on double hinge, covers up the hand. We're going to rotate the arm so you get the hands facing upwards. And close these hinges back up. There's a tab right here and a slot right here in the forearm. So fold that up on the double joint. And this will end up tabbing into the shoulder. All right. Same on this side. Fold this up, and tab it into the shoulder. Okay. And we're in the home stretch. So we want to take the hand, which is gorgeous, by the way, painted with this maroon paint, gray plastic here. Make sure you have it oriented like this with the thin side on the top of the hand. Come to here. We're going to separate this just a little bit. You don't need to get it all the way off. And it's going to fit right in between here. There's two pegs on the inside of the legs. That's why you needed to push these back. It's so this can fit in between. And if it doesn't fit, then you're going to have to push it back a little bit more. But it does fit indeed. So I'm going to squeeze that together between those two pegs. All right, then we're going to take care of this top section. I actually left out a step. We're going to open up this. You'll see the little clip right here. Bring this clip down, and that actually locks in this bottom section. Kind of solidifies the arm a little bit. See on this, bring this down and tab that in right there. Then these arms will tab into the side of the chest and kind of lock those in place. And the last step is to take the guns, and instead of plugging inside with like this, you can plug with this on the bottom like that and like that. All right, there is Hertz in combined mode, and it looks really good. I think they did a great job on this guy, and I just had a little stand there, but here's the arm mode. Let's go over the articulation. The elbow has a ratcheted joint. There is a cover piece here, which is cool. It has a rotation here. It's that same ratcheted waist swivel that we got in robot mode. So that's nice. Here's the combiner port. You know, I assume the articulation will be on the scatter shot side, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure. And let's come down to the hand, and this came on tab. These should be tabbed into the sides in case I didn't mention that earlier. For the hands, you have rotation here at the wrist, in and out movement, so you can get the hand all the way flat on the ground. You have individually articulated fingers at 1, 2, 3 pins. They do splay out, so you can get it kind of reaching open. Thumb is on a ball joint and a pin, or 2 pins, sorry. Phenomenal hands, you know, really well done. And overall, a good looking thing. Now, one thing I noticed, which is kind of weird, this is intended, at least in my opinion, to be the left arm of Computron. But in the photography and in the instructions, it shows him as a right arm, which it definitely isn't. So I think they have some of this photography just flipped and reversed. It's a little weird, but either way, it really came out beautifully. All right, for size comparison, there it is next to the Fans Toys Jester, their version of Slingshot. And I want to bring this in because it's also a left arm for a combiner, and it's also a jet. And this is interesting because, and I had them on stands, that's why you have these like blocks, but these forearms are about the same size. The guns make the Bingo toys a little bit taller on the shoulder, but the front of the jet, the cockpit, is about the same. And then the forearm is about the same. Even the wingspan is about the same. But then where it differs is the fingers. You can see the hand on the Bingo toys is definitely bigger. It's got longer fingers. It's got a wider hand, bigger thumb. So I think they just chose to make the hands a little bit bigger on the Bingo toys, which I'm not going to, it's not an issue for me. I wouldn't complain about it. But I just wanted to mention it because people might be curious. Did the combined mode also end up bigger? And I think my answer is no, other than the hand. Right? The hand is the only thing that really ended up bigger than what's a modern combiner, this Fans Toys Ethereon. So I think this combiner, when it's done, will shape up and fit well with other modern Fans Toys, Magic Square, other Masterpiece combiners. So final recommendations on the Bingo Toys Hertz. This is a pretty phenomenal figure, but I'm going to give this a 4 to 5. I'm going to recommend it. I nearly gave it a 5, but I think the one thing that holds this back is its size overall in both robot mode and vehicle mode. I think when you put this on the shelf with other figures from an MP or third-party collection, it will stand out as being pretty large. And who knows how big their leader figure for Scattershot is going to be. Obviously bigger than this. And that's going to be a little awkward. He's at least going to be bulkier, if not the same height, probably taller is my guess. And that, I think, will stand out on a shelf with other masterpiece scale combiners. However, the promise of this in combine mode is pretty impressive. That arm looks really good, really well articulated, well detailed, sizes well with other MP combiners, at least as far as I can tell. The hand looks a little bit bigger, but the rest of the arm looks the same. So it may be a little bit bigger than other combiners. Either way, though, I think people will be happy with a combiner version of Computron that looks like this. The other thing, I do have a little bit of paint scraping. This panel right here actually clips into the cockpit, and I have a tiny bit of red paint, or I guess white paint missing and red paint behind it. You can see it right there on the piece. It's minor, so it's not a major complaint. It's just I wanted to mention there is a tiny bit of paint scraping in a visible location. But overall, I mean, I'm very impressed. The amount of paint, the accessories, the posability, the articulation, all three modes look really good. It's a very well-made figure. On par, I would say, with Fans Toys, maybe even better in some ways than Fans Toys. So I will be probably looking at the next one just based on how I feel about this one. Hopefully we get to see Fans Toys version, sometime this year. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
TM Reviews. What's up, YouTube fans?